Thank you very much, Jackie. I'm very happy to be here in New Zealand. And again, intimidated by the crowd. Thank you very much for this intimidation. When I was asked to come, I thought of 15 to 20 persons, not this audience. So thank you very much for making me I'm not alone here in New Zealand. Yeah, here says real vision in a digital world. I will basically don't touch that matter, if you don't mind. I will touch death, because I think that art has, and filmmaking and storytelling is basically a matter of life and death. And I will go through some legends, and I will try to speak of why death is important in storytelling. So as you can see, digital, we'll address digital things at the end. First of all, I will kindly ask you if you can see your hands. Just for 1 second. Even if you don't wash them after going to the bathroom. Watch them carefully. Because these hands, at some point, they're going to become the hands of a corpse. These hands will not move anymore at some point of our life. I have a disease at a moment of my life where I didn't know if I was going to make it or not, and I was watching at my hands. And I say, what am I going to do with my hands if I still live? What am I going to do with them? Has my finger caressed the skins I want to caress and touch? Have I beaten up the guys I need to beat up? What am I going to leave after I die? I have my working place full of skulls of many materials. And the reason I have these skulls is because I want to remember every night that I'm going to die. And as much tired I am, I watch to that skulls and say, work, Arriaga, work, work, work. There's tribes around here. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. The Dani, one of the islands, they cut the finger of a 7-year-old girl every time someone dies. So when you see that girl, you remember the guy who was dead. In Romania, when young woman dies and she didn't get married before dying, she must be very angry. So the people in the town, they dress her like a bride, and they ask a man on the town to marry her. And there's a marriage between this guy and the dead lady. And once they're gonna bury her, they put a little doll for the kids she wasn't able to have. So there's some tribes also that when someone, I think this is in Australia or New Guinea, when someone dies, they camouflage. They camouflage because people really get very upset if they die. They are so upset that they want to take someone with them. So they camouflage and they kept still. So the soul of the dead man or woman would not notice them and take them with them. Have been privileged to work with the Indigenous Film Commission of Australia for a couple of times, which allows me to understand the Aboriginal culture, which I am absolutely fascinated by. And last time I was there in Uluru, they told me that some tribe in some group of Aboriginals in Australia, they believe that people, when they die, they go to the sunset. They live in the sunset. The people who died before time, they live in the sunset. Because once you go into darkness, you go to the other part of the world. But if you remain on the sunset, you're still between light and darkness. And the kids, when a kid dies, every kid that dies is a kid, is a human being that should not die. That's why they live in the sunset. And these kids, they have a lot of energy, even though they are dead. They come back. When someone dies before time, they come back with their soul and put it back. It's like, have it again. You should not die. Have it. And this guy suddenly comes back to life. I think that's one of the purposes of storytelling, and that's one of the purposes of being a writer. A storyteller is a way to make the predominancia, how do you say predominancia? Predominance, the predominance of life over death. Every book, every painting, every sculpture, every building, every film is a way of reassuring the power of life over death. Maybe you believe in God or not. I do not believe in God. I'm an atheist. And believing in God or afterlife is an act of faith. It's not a reality. But my reality as an atheist is believing that my work is going to survive me. That my work is going to be beyond me. And that's why I write. And that's what when I decided that I was going to be a writer, and I was going to try to make a living writing. Because I want life to continue through my books, through my films. Maybe I died tomorrow. Right now, I'm crossing the streets for a Mexican who is not used to see to the other side. Could mean like a bus runs over me, and that's it. But the day after tomorrow, you can sit here and watch my films, or even read my books. Kafka said that art was a way of not dying. There's a tribe in the Congo. They say that whenever your name is pronounced, you're still alive. So Shakespeare, for example, is very well alive. Plato is alive. All of these people is alive. When they say, I was moved by a film, I think that's exactly the purpose of a piece of art. It's like I'm watching this in this direction. A good book, a good film has to move me to a place I had never imagined existed. I think that's the purpose of writing, is putting the eye or the mind in places we never see. We never see because we think it's not transcending. For example, maybe I want everyone to put the eyes here. You never imagined there was Rob Sarkis in conversation with Park Chan-wook. Here. It's there. Maybe I push you to see to the other side. The greatest impact of a book or a film or everything of art is making me see in places I never imagined. I think that's a goal we can have. That's why it's important that everyone tells about the places they know, because maybe I don't know that place. Every human being, it's a perspective in its own. It's a walking perspective. It's original just for the sake of the perspective. Why we think sometimes that what I have to tell is not important. Maybe my life is absolutely boring. The most boring thing in life. Maybe that's interesting for someone else. When I began writing, I began having, in my novels, because I began as a novelist, I began having the critics, or people telling me about why they think about my books. And I was like, when they didn't like it, I was like, but look, I spent 3 years of my life writing it, and who cares? You know? If they don't like it, they don't like it. And that can be very depressing. If I invite, right now, 5 guys and 5 women, 5 men and women that will gently come here and completely take off their clothes and be completely naked. Okay, imagine we have those people volunteer. And now they're going to walk around, and everyone is going to approve those bodies. Imagine saying, you go naked. You have the guts to go naked. Okay, now walk line by line, where people is going to grab you, smell you, measure you. No? And they will say, ugh, you have hair there? Is that a penis? Really? That size? Either you get very frustrated, or you say, someone is going to like me. And I realize that I don't write for everyone. I write for my own species, my own tribe. That's the people that's going to understand me. If the tribe is big, large, or small, it's nothing that I can do with it. It's just a hope. Sometimes you write for one person. One who's really moved for what you write. Or you are convinced of giving them a perspective that it's original. So I know that many people, I have been dealing with people that say, I have nothing interesting to say. Yes, you have. I'm going to be like Obama. Yes, we can. Of course, you have something interesting to say. Maybe not for everyone, but for your tribe, your species. And that's what I think is worth about writing and about creating. That's the purpose. It doesn't matter if it's in film or digital or whatever. It's giving a perspective that no one else has. No one. So, there's people that's blocked as writers. I have nothing interesting to say. Yes. Sometimes I recommend people, when they have this thing called writer's block, write one word and then another random word, and you will have a story. Chair, church, rug, ceiling, sky, turtle. There's a story in there. Sure there is. So we have to put the eye on things we never expected. I'm as obsessed with death, not because I like death, but because it's the limit of life. When we have the sense that life is finishing, we devote our greatest energies to make things. It's funny why people wait until they have this sentence, you have cancer. Huh? I'm going to do the things I've never done. Okay, imagine you have cancer every day. Because you are going to die. We are going to die. Sooner or later, we're going to die. So the sense of death ends the blandness of life and makes you to commit to life. Writing is a commitment. Creating is a commitment. Filmmaking is a commitment with life. When I was a kid, well, not a kid, I was 15 years old. I was a man. Yeah, because, you know, the other day I was advising a screenplay of a guy, they were 35-year-old characters, and I said, what it's about? The transformation from boy to man. At 35? Yeah, because we don't know how to deal with things. Well, I was a man at 15. At high school, there was a skeleton, a real skeleton. Later I will say you something about Coke. There was a real skeleton. And we bring ties and jackets and hats, and every day we dress that skeleton. And we enjoy that skeleton. If right now I bring a skeleton and put it here, would you be scared? Shocked? Well, it's a skeleton. But what about if I bring a freshly dead man and hang it here? 6 days dead. With some worms and smelling. Will you be shocked? It's death. Both are death. Why are you shocked by one and not shocked by the other? In Madagascar, they think that, again, and this will repeat in several cultures, the idea that people who die are very angry, extremely angry. That means that death is something that pisses off. It really makes us mad. Well, it's a custom in Madagascar to bury the people you love in your house. But you cannot bury them while they have still flesh. The combination of flesh and bones is what causes some shock. So they bury these guys far away from home. Okay? They wait for 1 year. After 1 year, they unbury them, they clean them up, and the bones, and they say to the dead person, now we're going to enjoy the things you like in life. So they take the bones dancing, to a football game, to the cinema, they make parties. So the bones, they are going up and down. So the dead guy is not longer angry because they are still love. And there's not a flesh that it goes in between us. And now they can be buried in our house. I make a film called The Three Burials of Melquiades Estrada that Tommy Lee Jones acted and directed. And I wanted to make a corpse a character. Because I hate how much we repress death. In every culture in contemporary society, we hate death. And if we do not accept death, we are not accepting life. I'm going to show you an example of death right now. You know what's that? That's the tongue of death licking my head. Remembering me, I am mortal. If I feel I was handsome, and the tongue of death goes through our bodies. Cellulite. A lot of cellulite. You know? In the men, in women. In men, is death. Death comes once and again and again and again and again to us. But what happens? Something horrible. People go and have wallabies here. Hair transplant is called. They have operations. This thing like. The absolute denial of death. The absolute denial of death. And we deny getting old. We deny what's the rotting of us. We slowly go to death. So in the three burials, I wanted a corpse to be the main character. And there's a stinking corpse going up and down. If you want to see a film about corpse, watch that one. And I'm going to show you my own zombie movie. I have a zombie movie I made like 16 years ago. Shot it in exactly 14 hours. Okay. And the cancellation of life, it's also expressed in alienation. Alienation means that we are incapable of closing circles. We never close circles. Most of us have this thing, a cell phone, right? Can you explain me how it works? I'm sure only one of you can tell me. Can you explain me how a computer works? Can you explain me how this was made? Or what material my glasses are made of? We don't know anything. It's sad, but we go to the supermarket and we buy meat of animals that sometimes we don't even know how they died. I know people who have been eating cows all of their lives and they had never touched one alive. I remember a friend, he was touching a cow for the first time, saying, "Man, they are big." We don't close circles. So sometimes, because we have not the ability of closing our own circles, someone has that little piece of the circle. And reading other books, or reading or watching a film, sometimes they have the pieces of my own circle. That's why it's important. The importance of art is exactly that. We have pieces that allow us to understand better who we are. And that's the passion of making art, of creating art. That's the passion of reading. That's the passion of going in the film. That's the passion of going to a museum. Because maybe I walk and a man from my own tribe gives me a piece of me that I was missing. And that allows me to understand who I am. So that's what I think is a purpose of storytelling. Closing circles, allowing us to make a little bridge. Because that's sometimes a book or a film, a bridge to ourselves. We didn't know that that bridge was there until we see a film. Maybe the things that my books and my film have produced on some people, it's been surprising. For example, the other day I received a letter from a man in Belgium. He had a degenerative disease and he was dying. And he said to me in his letter, "You know something, maybe when you receive this letter, I'm already dead. But I want you to know that your books have become a mirror for me. that had allowed me to see myself better in these moments of death. So I want to thank you. If a critic doesn't like my book, I don't mind. That book is allowing a man who is dying to see himself as a mirror. I have a woman that told me, after reading your book, I canceled my wedding. Do you want to marry me? No. Really? Because she said, I don't want to be like the character in your book, trapped in a marriage she doesn't want. I don't want really to get married. I need a book to understand that I didn't want to get married. The best thing that has happened in my life, I don't know why my work is loved in prisons. I'm going to show you a short film I wrote and directed a couple of years ago, which won the awards given by the prisoners in a festival, Amiens, in France. Man, I won the prisoners award. I don't know if I won the critics award or the jury award. I won the prisoners award. This short film I'm gonna, it's not a comedy. Maybe you can laugh, but it's not a comedy. 2 years ago, Mexico was celebrating the anniversary of the revolution and the independence. Exactly in the same dates. We have the independence 200 years ago, and 100 years ago we have the Mexican Revolution, which defined our country. So they asked, a network asked us, several filmmakers, to make a celebration. So it's a kind of celebration. You'll watch it. I hope you like it. I want to share it with you. This man has never been out of his village, ever. And I traveled 1 month looking for the right man, because sometimes the decision between working with a non-actor and an actor is true. And in this man, I think that the wrinkles and the eyes and the hands needed to be real. No makeup will ever translate it into the glance of this man. When we were going to shoot, he had no idea what the screenplay was about. I only was, say this, and now get mad. Now say this, and I told him he has to cry. And he says, of course, not Mexican man cries. And he said, I don't cry. And the producers were very scared because they say, we need him to break up. He needs to be hurt by the situation. And he said he's not going to cry. I say, don't worry, he's going to cry. And in the end, he cried. You know, the gas always works. No. I'm gonna tell you this directing trick. A little bit mean, but he has 13 kids, 7 boys and 6 girls, and he has like 50 grandchildren, and he has like 25 grandchildren, and all of that family came to visit the set when he has to cry. And the DP, who was also the producer, was like, man, are you crazy? Because every time he was working, there was like 80 of them. God, Daddy, God. And he was like, saying hello to everyone. And he says, what are you doing? And say, trust me, this guy is gonna cry. And the family, every time this guy. So I go to the DP and say, he's going to cry, be ready. Why are you so sure? Be ready. So I ask the family, come, come. And these noisy Mexicans, oh yeah, making a lot of a party. And the man is smiling. And when the family is like 15 meters away, I say, can you stop, please? So I put my arm around him and I say, look, you're going to die. You're 83. Death is breathing you here. You can feel it. It's close to you. You know that. And I love you, man, because now that I met you, I love you, and I'm sad that you're going to die. And that's going to happen soon. And you know something? That is what you're going to leave on earth, that family that you created. Now, please, close your eyes for a moment. And I see the family go. And I ask them to hide them. When he opens his eyes, the family's not there. And I say, now, that's going to be the last image you're going to take to your tomb. And he began crying. And he cried for 20 minutes. We caught, and he hugged me and kept on crying and crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. Non-stop. And he told me, I always wanted to cry. I was never able to. Then I called him and say, know something? We haven't been invited to Venice Film Festival. And I want you to come. And he says, am I going to be back at home in the afternoon? Not really. Saying, and who's going to take care of my cows? He has 4 cows. I'll find someone. No. How many days you want me to go? Like 6? No way. 6 days? Where? Venice. What's that? He had never been out of his town. Okay, so I say no. And at night, one of his daughters calls me and say, yes, he's going. Of course he's going. And I'm going to go with him, and I want his wife to come with us. I say, perfect. So I got the network to pay for the trip. This is the first time this man goes into a plane out of his village. Imagine the shock. And so we go to Venice. And he brings with him chiles. Of course, in customs in France, everything was taken. No? So he goes to the festival. He went to the very fine restaurants that the festival has prepared for him. He hated the food. So he went to a restaurant that gave him fried eggs for breakfast, fried eggs for lunch, and fried eggs for dinner. So we go to the screening, around 3,000 people in the screening, and he had no idea what the short film was about. And he sits there, and he watches, and he cries again. And there's a standing ovation for the man. And it's very funny, but he was like a politician. Crying. He became a sensation. He was giving an autograph. He have a personal meeting with the Pope. Really. And now the candidates for governor, he's sitting there with the candidates, supporting them. He became a celebrity. And I'm happy about it. And he's still alive, so don't worry, he didn't die. Okay? So I like art or storytelling that puts people in a circumstance where the decision has weight. I like people who like to take deep, profound decisions. There's an African concept of life. This tribe thinks that we have two kinds of souls. One is a light soul, and one is a heavy soul. When we dream, is the light soul that goes and wanders around. When we become, we get crazy, or how we say we go crazy? We become crazy, I don't know how to say it, but you are crazy. Is your light soul then went away from your body and never came back. When you faint, is your light soul went out for a couple of seconds and you faint. So the light soul goes back and forth. But the heavy soul only leaves when death comes. But the heavy soul never goes out of the body. So the heavy soul doesn't know where death, the territory of death, is. So he sends the light soul to make an investigation. Can you go, please, and find out where the territory of death is? Ah, okay, perfect. And the light soul goes to two places. He goes to the wab tree. You know the wabs? The first tree of creation. Climbs and sees all around because it was the first tree of creation. Where's death? Ah, this is in that direction. And then he goes with menstruating women. Women have inside them in between 300 to 600 possible babies. That's your body. And every time you lose one of those babies, you do it with pain and blood and hormones, and it's hard for a woman because it's literally a bloody process where you give away the chance of a human being that's not longer going to be a being. So every woman who is menstruating is in a state of grace because she is in the verge of life and death. We men, we have millions of kids, and we are very happy when we let them go. Not big deal. We have like 5 million every... No? But women has a lot of weight because you only have 600 maximum of human beings inside yourself. So in this state of wisdom, the light soul goes and asks where death is. And this wise woman points, go in that direction. So there goes the light soul. It's not close. The territory of death is 3 years away. So they go, climb up hills, go through deserts, jungles, until they reach the abyss of death. And the light soul contemplates the abyss of death, the unseen territory of death. And he goes back to the heavy soul and tells the heavy soul where's the place, in which direction it has to go. I think that's something an artist has to do. We have to go to places no one has ever been and go back with something that has never been seen. We have to go to those places where we have to stand on the verge of things and watch down and say, no one has seen it. And I have to go back and tell the people what we have seen. And as I said, every human being has the capability of walking to its own abyss. So there's no excuse at all for not creating. It's not excuse. It's not excuse to say, I have nothing interesting to say. Of course you have something interesting to say to your own tribe. God bless you. Okay, I'm going to show you now my zombie movie. I hope you enjoyed my zombie movie. Okay, let's continue. This was made in 14 hours. We shot like very quick. And now I should address a little bit about digital world. I always said I was going to be the last man standing shooting in film. And I was the last man standing shooting in film in Mexico because there's not more film stock. I finished it all. So now I had to go to digital. What happens, the difference between digital and film? The clue is rigour. When we were shooting film, it was so expensive that we had to be very careful on what we were doing. I cannot make 40 takes with film because it was really expensive. I have made films when I was younger. I have to shoot one-on-one. That means I have only one take. And that's it. So I think that I said it this morning, the word for a filmmaker is rigour. For anyone is rigour. I see my work as something that's going to survive me. And if it's going to survive me, it'd rather be perfect. The thing with digital is that many people say, I can make 80 takes if I want. They feel they are Kubrick, which asks for 80 takes to someone. That's my only concern about digital. The advantages is like, I'm going to show you a film. Ayúdame a buscarlo aquí en YouTube, ¿no? Porfa, el de Broken Night. I was invited by a company, which name I'm not going to say, but it sounds Nikon. It sounds like that. They asked me to work with a small camera and try to make a film with it. So I make an experiment. And the experiment is to make a horror film with this little camera. And I'm going to tell you the advantages of using that kind of camera against doing it with film, and why I couldn't make it with film. And it was a work on hire. I seldom make works on hire, but it helped me. It helped me tell the story. I was fortunate to work with a guy called Janusz Kaminski. I don't know if you know who Janusz Kaminski is, but Janusz Kaminski has been nominated 6 times for the Oscar. He has won twice. He was nominated for Saving Private Ryan. He was nominated for the Diving Bell and the Butterfly. The Diving Bell and the Butterfly gave him an award in Cannes for Best Technical Achievement because it's amazing. He is from Poland, and it's so much fun working with him. This film has non-actors, and it has a professional actress and 2 non-actors. I like working very much also with non-actors. I was telling today to David Wenham about these directors which don't care about the human beings that are portraying the life in front of the camera. I hate directors, hate it with all my guts, that they are working on a film and they are in the you know this, the thing called the video assist. So they can see in a small screen what is happening on the camera. And they are telling the actors, okay, move to the right. Yes, perfect, good, no, right. Ugh, fuck. Actors are so dumb. Move here, and they're like that. They never go talk to the actors. But there's some directors that are like this. Please come, I need you to be an actor. Yeah, an actor, yeah. Just him. Okay, you are the actor, okay? Perfect. Okay, action. Thank you. And I think that every actor, it's, you know something? I study acting. Every actor is very insecure. We're like little puppies. Did I do it well? Yes? It's okay? It doesn't matter if it's a great actor or not, if it's a movie star or not, if it's an Oscar winner or not. Every actor is like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. They need to be, yeah, they are by themselves. I quit acting because I was one in a theater and I felt ridiculous. I was like, this is not the fourth wall. I do not believe a word I'm saying. I'm talking like this because it's a theater. This is fake bullshit. And I quit it. Actors, they are portraying themselves. They are putting themselves in a very fragile position. Please, go and talk to them. All of them. Don't tell them, do another take. You have to explain them why you are doing another take. They need it badly. I'm telling you this as an actor. You need to say, like, where I'm standing. Unless you are Sean Penn. Sean Penn is the only one I have seen, like, he only asked once if he had done it right. But you need it. So please, directors, don't be mean with the actors. I'm with the Actors Guild, and I support them. I'm waiting this to go. It's going a little bit slow. Okay. I know we have drinks. For example, some of the advantages of working with this camera, different from working from film, is the angles. I think it's the first time there's a camera beneath a car flipping. You saw that take? I was able to put this very small camera, and there are the angles. I can shoot with a big camera. I cannot shoot here. I need to vary the cameraman. Here he was just lying on the ground. So it gave me angles that I never imagined. So I think this is all. Thank you very much. See you in the drinks.